Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, more easing of restrictions are imminent as venues and sports grounds prepare to welcome back larger crowds. It's good news for local theatre after a year of cancelled shows, but it's a move already labelled too little, too late.
In March this year, Encore Theatre Company's Mamma Mia the Musical was ready to hit the stage. But COVID shut it down just days before its first show.
We, at the time of cancellation, lost $180,000. We're a community organisation, we are not arts funded, so that literally took all of our financial reserves to survive it.
Now it won't be performed until the end of next year because of restrictions on people allowed in theatres.
None of us know what we're doing next year, so it's really just a hold on a thread and hope that you can make it to October, November.
But today, some good news.
Theatres and cinemas can return to 75% seating capacity, up to a maximum of 250 people.
While venues with a larger capacity will be able to negotiate exemptions with public health.
Some states have considered wearing masks. I think probably the most important things to think about are how people get into and out of the theatre.
If we had less than 75% and put it on the stage, it would be the last show we'd ever do.
It's really exciting that we can slowly get back to normal.
But Labor says the move should have come earlier.
The pandemic has been going on for most of the year now, and the performing arts sector is literally on its knees. It's rather late in the piece to be supporting the performing arts sector.
Well, from the beginning of next year, outdoor sporting events will also be boosted to 75% capacity, and there will be an exemption for church and religious services over Christmas, allowing more people to attend.
We've supported the government and the restrictions that we've been operating under, but it'd be great if we're able to have more people come because Christmas is all about hope, and our weary world needs hope at this time.
The Premier also outlining the priority for the state's vaccination program.
Those most at risk of complications or death from the virus, people with pre-existing respiratory illnesses, those in residential aged care settings, and older Australians being in the first phase.
Healthcare workers would be the next in line to get the long-awaited vaccine, hopefully rolled out in March next year. Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
A new freight service is set to provide Tasmania's food producers with a link to new markets in Asia. The first direct Hobart to Hong Kong Cathay Pacific route will take off tonight, giving exporters a boost for the summer.
The solution to a major exports problem, ready for takeoff.
Up until now, we've been funding flights out of Hobart to get goods to Sydney so they can transit to our international destinations.
Running from Hobart to Hong Kong 3 times a week from now until mid-February, a new Cathay Pacific flight will carry around 40 tonnes of seafood, fresh fruit, meat and dairy, replacing freight lines that were interrupted this year.
90% of flights stop flying, and when you put your cargo in the bellies of passenger aircraft, it proved to be a significant problem.
We've been able to present a solution which is going to make it much easier for time-sensitive cargo to link through to Asian destinations over Hong Kong.
A boost for exporters in a rotten year.
This is a game changer for, I'm sure I could say for the live seafood industry, but for fresh produce like cherries, the timing of getting product to market is critical.
It's hoped the new direct route can bolster industry and continue to diversify our trading partners in the region.
The service being provided by Cathay gives us entree to a lot of destinations through the Hong Kong airport once we arrive there.
Food producers will like this help in the air to become a permanent feature of the summer season. Calls for assistance on the ground are being answered this week, with 150 soon-to-be fruit pickers finishing their quarantine.
I can confirm that there have been no positive tests in terms of the seasonal workers from Timor-Leste.
The next flight of seasonal workers, this time from Tonga, touches down on Friday. A second Mercy flight for Australians stuck in India has been pushed back.
And it will, rather than being before Christmas, will be on the 8th of January.
The Premier assuring all safeguards will remain in place. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
A 41-year-old man has been charged with arson following a structure fire at Montrose last night, which caused $500,000 damage. Crews arrived to the Oakbank Avenue property around 6:40 p.m. to find the ground floor fully engulfed. Police say the man handed himself to authorities at the scene shortly after the blaze was extinguished.
At the moment, preliminary investigations would indicate that it commenced on the lower level of the house and that it's worked itself up to cause extensive damage upstairs as well.
The cause remains under investigation and anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Former Greens leader Bob Brown has been arrested and charged for the second time in less than 24 hours as protests continue near Lake Leak. His foundation is calling for the protection of endangered swift parrot habitats. Police confirmed he has today been charged with trespass along with a 42-year-old woman. A 72-year-old man was also charged with willfully obstructing police. But the Forest Products Association says the action is causing unnecessary angst for workers, stating forestry remains a renewable industry. A fourth public servant has been stood down in Tasmania following allegations of potential sexual abuse. For more, we're joined by reporter Meg Sides. Good evening, Meg. This is the second time this week we've heard similar allegations.
That's right, Kim. It was only Monday the government confirmed a state service employee had been stood down. But this afternoon we've learnt yet another investigation is pending into a new allegation in the north. We know it has already been referred to Tasmania Police, but we don't have any further details at this stage. A spokesperson has said the move to stand the person down isn't an indication of wrongdoing, but a precautionary measure. But as you said, this is the fourth time this month alone that allegations of this nature have been revealed. And Kim, we have been warned to expect more of these allegations in the weeks and months ahead as we draw closer to the commission of inquiry scheduled for early next year.
As the state remains in the midst of a housing crisis, Labor fears some Tasmanians could be kicked off the long housing waiting list. It's a claim denied by the government, coming on the same day as new supported accommodation has welcomed new tenants, otherwise at risk of homelessness.
Once a motel room, now a temporary home. Officially launched as emergency accommodation in October, the Old Balmoral Motor Inn is now filling up fast.
At the moment we're about half full and we're looking to be completely full by the end of January. We want to make sure it's a site that helps people who have not had anywhere permanent to live.
The Mountain View program offering 31 beds as well as support services on site, aiming to relieve some pressure off Tasmania's housing crisis.
This is a case of Hobart City Mission identifying that there's a lack of accommodation for people who are doing it tough, so coming up with a solution to that.
But as the waitlist grows for public housing, Labor says the issue is getting worse. Claiming reform recommendations by the state government to Housing Connect suggest families on the assistance program should live with relatives if possible, subsequently taking them off the list.
The wait list already stands at close to 3,500. So this government is now relying on the families of people who are desperate for housing to put a roof over their heads.
Oh, that's absolutely disgraceful, and what it is a sign that the Gutman government is throwing its hands up and basically quitting on people who are desperate for a home.
But the state government says no one will be kicked off the list until they're safely in a home.
And my advice is that once again Labor have got it wrong and that people will not be removed from the housing waiting list until they've been provided with appropriate housing that meets their needs.
Ruby Kemain, 7 Tasmania News.
In developing news, police are currently on the scene of a two-vehicle crash on the Midland Highway at Granton. Emergency crews were called to the incident around 4:30 this afternoon. The busy road was completely blocked, slowing traffic right down near the Bridgewater Bridge, heading towards New Norfolk. Details of the cause or any injuries remain unknown, but efforts are continuing to clear the scene. Meanwhile, a driver has managed to escape serious injuries after flipping his car on the Midland Highway. The vehicle ended up on its roof near the southern outlet in South Launceston, bringing peak hour traffic to a crawl. Paramedics treated the driver at the scene for minor injuries. Another 10,000 home care packages will be added across the country, including Tasmania, as part of a $1 billion federal government investment. Critics argue it's not enough, as nearly 100,000 older Australians are still suffering on an extended waiting list.
A new cash splash for older Australians.
The $1 billion additional investment into the aged care sector for a range of initiatives.
The centrepiece, 10,000 additional home care packages worth $850 million to be rolled out nationwide, including around 300 in Tasmania.
We need to grow this market responsibly, and of course we also need to reform it.
Allowing older Australians to stay home for longer, a key recommendation of last year's draft Royal Commission into the aged care sector.
It's what people want to be able to do. They're happier in their own home environment.
But Labor says this announcement barely puts a dent in what's needed.
The government needs to stop drip feeding packages and actually have a proper plan to deal with the wait list.
A backlog of close to 100,000 people, including 1,700 Tasmanians. The Council of the Ageing wants the maximum wait for a home care package to be 1 month. Currently, some are waiting in excess of 12 months.
Unfortunately, some people are dying while waiting for packages to arrive.
It is a genuine concern. We want to get the waiting list down.
This as the government looks to rebuild after a damaging year, both to the aged care sector itself and the minister at the helm.
And let's just hope that 2021 is a better year for us all in aged care.
Richard Colbeck refusing to be drawn on speculation a cabinet reshuffle could see him lose his portfolio altogether.
I won't publicly discuss my private conversations with the Prime Minister. I am very keen to continue the role that I'm undertaking.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
Burnie City Council has sold the old Tioxite site to TasNetworks, potentially to become part of the Marinus Link. If used, the site at Haybridge would house the Tasmanian converter stations for the controversial energy project. This follows the signing of a memorandum of understanding on the project between the state and federal governments yesterday. The Hobart show will benefit from a $500,000 boost to its budget, helping it bounce back next year. The show was forced to downgrade its annual event this year due to COVID restrictions, but now it will share in a $34 million pool of federal government funding, established to ensure the survival of shows and field days around the country.
That's money we would normally have made off our show each year. Obviously we didn't run a show last year, so that sets us up into a very strong financial position moving forward for next year.
Everybody can talk about their local show. It's part and parcel of the lifeblood of any community within Australia, and the Royal Hobart show, of course, is what the standout show for Tasmania.
Grant is equal to the Society's overheads, including wages, insurance and electricity for the past year. It has been a tough year for the state's wine producers, but finally there's cause for celebration with the Tasmanian Wine Festival officially launched. Back for its second year, the event brings together several of the state's best drops, as well as food and live music.
Create a really great vibe for wine in Tasmania. You know, wine is a huge part of tourism here, and it's the premier event for focusing on that. So that's a big key for us.
The festival runs for 3 days, starting February 26 at Hobart's Botanical Gardens.
Tassie Tiger turned striker Peter Siddle has helped end the Hurricanes' perfect streak in the Big Bash. Siddle with outstanding figures of 5 for 16 for Adelaide. The Canes struggled to find the boundary with only Ben McDermott and Colin Ingram posing any danger to the visitors. You'd think Siddle's shades would have been the talking point, but actions speak louder than words.
Oh, there's a noise on that. There was a noise on that.
The Hurricanes couldn't settle on the northern pitch.
Edge gone! Third wicket down.
Cricket-starved fans needed a saviour, and they found it in Ben McDermott.
That's gone a long, long, long way back. Wow, that's on the roof. That is on the roof.
And Colin Ingram. Their eyes lit up when the spinners came on, so did the crowds. The pair's 75-run partnership was magnificent, but an individual half-century was missing, both out for 46. Tim David would have the final 6.
Geez, that sounded good. It is good.
Before Siddle really cleaned up, bowling Mac Wright.
Oh, no!
And closing out with a Yorker to Riley Meredith. Switched the colours around.
Bowl him!
And the bail bashing continued. James Faulkner collecting the opener, followed by a second.
Big shouts of catch it. He has.
And very nearly a third.
Geez, there was a little noise. I'm not sure if it was bat or if it was pad. And looking at Carey there, it was bat.
The Strikers also took kindly to the spinners. Alex Carey and Jake Weatherall put the contest out of reach for the Canes.
Weatherall jumps all over that.
The Strikers by 5 wickets. And the remainder of the Sheffield Shield and Marsh One Day Cup fixture has been released. Tasmania will host 4 Shield matches against Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria and Queensland, along with 3 one-dayers. Those competitions resume in mid-February following the Big Bash season. And if you're someone who really likes their own company, the Vendee Globe yacht race might just be your thing. The solo non-stop race around the world, which began just over 5 weeks ago, passes south of Tasmania in the coming 24 hours. They're a long way south though, sailing roughly halfway between here and Antarctica. Bit too cold for me, Kim. I'll stay where I am here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thanks, Tom. Good evening. A high of 20 at Launceston today, Burnie 18 and 15 at Hobart. 21 was the state's top at Strawn, 16 across St Helens and King Island, and Grove 15. On the close-up, underlying cloud associated with a southwesterly stream and a band of middle-level cloud extends from the mainland. Further out, cloud is seen over southern WA associated with a trough. Tomorrow shows the mainland trough extending to northeastern Tasmania, while a ridge lies south of WA. East to southeasterly winds tomorrow, 15 to 25 knots, swells up to 2 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for northern coastal waters from Sandy Cape to St Helens Point. Tomorrow's forecast now, rain and 18 across Hobart and Cygnet, New Norfolk 21. In the north, Launceston 25, rain across Devonport and Campbelltown. Burnie and Strawn tomorrow, rain 20 at Smithton. St Helens, rain easing 20 at Swansea and Fingal, reaching a high of 24. The UV forecast is extreme across the state with the sun setting at 8:44 p.m. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Friday showers contracting to the west, far south and northeast in the evening. Saturday fine in the north with showers across the west and south, and Sunday fine about the north, scattered showers elsewhere. Capital cities 30 and mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow. Adelaide cloudy and showers expected in Brisbane. And currently Hobart cloudy and 14, Launceston showers and Devonport cloudy and 16. That's all for weather tonight, Kim. And that is your news for this evening. The BBL is next on 7 Tas. On behalf of the entire news team, good night.